Hello, everyone, and welcome to our streamed event today. We have Dr. Paula Smith-Benson with us and Dr. Christine Kalmas with us today, and they are going to talk about how it is okay not to be okay. Welcome, Dr. Kalmas and Dr. Smith-Benson. Let us know what it means about it being okay not to be okay.
Okay, good afternoon, and
Yeah.
good to see everyone this afternoon. Thank you so much for having us again. And we're at a very important time of the year as we're on the eve of Veterans Day. And many of us have gone through various experiences, and this time of year can be joy filled or it may feel a little heavy for some. So, our purpose for being here today is to just talk about the recovery journey and the process, and that it doesn't go in a straight line. So, we're going to spend a few moments together just talking about a most recent experience I had at the beginning of the year when I was feeling a little less than my preferred, less than optimal. And we're going to just explore that and see what that looks like. But letting everyone know primarily it's okay if you need to reach out and ask for help.
So before we go further, when you say it's okay not to be okay, what does not okay mean? I mean, it's different for people, everyone, but can you
Mhm.
define for our viewers what does not okay actually mean?
So I will do my absolute best. So what's coming to me now is the warrior ethos. And that when we're serving on active duty, there is this consciousness, this awareness of selfless service or service before self. And there were maybe days or experiences I know that I had that maybe I wasn't feeling my best, but because of the mission, because of the team, because of the battalion, the flight, the command, etc. The protecting and defending the Constitution, there was a greater mission. And oftentimes I would place myself on the back burner. So it's coming to the realization and the acceptance that fitness for duty, that's a little bit of a different awareness when you've separated from the military. So there is this warrior ethos. It's an archetype. It's a mindset. We don't want to leave the team behind. We don't want to be falling behind. We want to do our part. So sometimes for me, it would be a suppression of what was going on for the greater good. Well, on this side of service, guess what? I am the greater good. I'm the mission now. And my recovery becomes that selfless service is now to myself. That's a little bit of a different thought process.
But still, what does that mean? Like when you say it's okay not to be okay, are there physical things not to be okay about? Are there mental health things not to be okay about? And what does that look like? Because we need to explain to our viewers what not being okay means, you know.
And I think it means something different for everyone. And it could be physical, it could be psychological, it could be emotional. We could expand it out vocationally, financially, socially. There's many different aspects of wellness, and what wholeness and wellness looks like for one individual may be different than the other. I think the common thread that's running through is that place of vulnerability, authenticity, and whatever that means for you. So for me, it would be a reoccurrence of my PTSD symptoms. So not okay for me is I'm not sleeping. That's not okay for me. My energy is low. My concentration is becoming more challenging. I'm not really feeling positive emotions. Like great things are happening, but I'm not really feeling it. I'm not an active participant in my life. I'm sort of observing. I'm sort of a participant observer in my own life. I'm sort of observing things, but I'm not integrated in. Mind, body, maybe a little disconnected. So that's what not okay looks like for me. For others, if they have a substance misuse history, that may be going back into active addiction after having a period of sobriety or a period where they would say that maybe they were clean. So it's a different experience. Recovery is definitely an individualized process, but we all have a baseline when things are feeling okay. What does that mean? My relationships are going well. Vocationally, I'm able to work. Socially, I have relationships, those kinds of things. When my mental health symptoms increase, relationships are strained. My personal self-talk becomes negative. My energy may go down. So it's an excellent question, Rosalie, and I'm glad we're making a little space for this because it is important. We all have to kind of know what is our a normal baseline. Where do we stay the most when we're feeling our best? So I hope that explains a little more. It's not really an easy question to describe, especially not I can't make generalizations. I can only speak for my experience.
Well, Dr. Kalmas, can you add to that a little bit, since you see many veterans who might not feel okay, but maybe not recognize it?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Dr. Smith-Benson said, that it's very individual. And part of the recovery process is learning what that kind of I'm not doing well looks for you. There generally are signs that are pretty specific to the individual. It sounds like for Dr. Smith-Benson, it's maybe withdrawing from the environment a little bit, kind of even your perspective changes. You almost look like you're watching your life pass by as opposed to being an active participant. Strained relationships, trouble sleeping, concentrating, those things I would imagine would also impact your work. For instance, if someone had a presentation of major depressive disorder more, they may notice that their mood is more down or they're feeling more irritable. They may notice that they're not doing things that they usually enjoy, or isolating themselves, withdrawing from people, declining social invitations, that sort of thing. Again, like what Dr. Smith-Benson said, what's really important is to know where you are generally, not when you're feeling, the best you've ever felt in your life, but on a day-to-day, what's your general baseline in terms of sleep, concentration, appetite, mood, social engagement, that kind of thing. And then what are some subtle signs that things are starting to go downhill? You mentioned a specific trigger earlier in the year, and that often can be what leads to a resurgence of symptoms. Other things can be stressors that occur, maybe again, financial stressors, work stressors, the end of a relationship, a large move, or change in daily activities. These all put us at risk for increased symptoms, particularly as it relates to anxiety and depression. So when did you first notice your resurgence of symptoms or increase in some of these symptoms, Paula?
Thank you.
Oh, I think you're muted.
Okay.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, my apologies, everyone. I'm experiencing some technical challenges, so please assist me if I mute again. So for me, I had a specific activating event on January the 31st of 2025. I can remember it like it was just today. That specific event was a verbal threat that was made by an individual unknown to me. And that exchange immediately caused me to experience what I interpreted as panic, increased breathlessness, a little disoriented, sweating profusely, terrified, fearful, needing to escape and flee the situation. And right then and there, I knew that I was experiencing something, but it wasn't quite clear in terms of the impact. So I have been in mental health recovery now since 2009. So I knew I experienced something, but I just assumed that I was just going to bounce back. I'm resilient. I'm strong. I'm resilient. I can do it. Well, guess what? That bounce back didn't happen. Something was activated in my central nervous system. And I want to say this, my body was doing exactly what it was designed to do. It didn't do anything wrong. I felt a fear for my safety, and there was a reaction in my body, my mind. And after that, I didn't sleep for several days. And I noticed I was checking my locks, making sure things were locked, looking over my shoulder, decreased interaction with people. And then when I had to return to that environment, boom, 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 my heart's beating and I'm sweating profusely again. So I'm having this reaction. And I was powerless to stop the normal physiology of my body. There was nothing that I could do to make it go away, which is what I wanted to avoid it. But this particular trigger, I could not avoid. I couldn't escape. I couldn't run. I had to continue to present myself in the area where this was where this happened. So I stopped opening my mail, stopped answering my phone, stopped responding to texts. Again, Dr. Kalmus, this withdrawal. Yeah. And I've gained almost 40 pounds since January. So this is a whole body experience. And it has been protracted. We're now in November and I'm talking to you about it now and I'm sweating just talking with you about it. And I'm absolutely safe right now where I am.
So at the start,
it sounds like it was.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Christine, Dr.
It sounds like it was really overwhelming and that it's still impacting you.
Absolutely. It is.
At the beginning of this, we said it's okay not to be okay. In light of everything you just described, what does that mean when it's okay not to be okay?
So what that means is that I didn't graduate from any program. Recovery is a lifelong journey. So even though I had had time in an inpatient unit in the past, I had gone through different evidence-based, measurement-based modalities for trauma and for depression. I had come through the Trauma Recovery Center here at the VA Maryland Healthcare System. My trauma scores had gone down to, and Dr. Kalmus can expound, where my PTSD was not clinically significant back in 2022. I was productive, doing well. And then this incident happened. And now it felt like I had failed myself and that what's going on? I thought I had gotten through this. That's what I mean. I had to reach out to my medication prescriber and I had to say, I'm not sleeping. I'm not feeling that well. And we both decided that I would go back into therapy. Then I had a couple of months of therapy, and then the provider and I said, you know what? You're still having a little bit of struggle. We may need to go back to the trauma recovery program. And I have to be quite honest. And that's why I wanted to come on today, because I felt like I had failed myself after all those years of working and being out here broadly disclosing this experience and wanting to be a channel to assist others. And I said, you know what? There's no better way to assist but to be transparent about what's happening now. And that this is not a failure. I haven't failed anything. This is what recovery looks like.
Absolutely. And I really thank you for being brave and talking about a period of your recovery that has been more difficult. Mm-hmm. You mentioned noticing this and really trying to cope. And you said, I'm resilient. I can get through this. What did you do to try to cope? And how did you know that this wasn't working quite well enough and it's time to reach out for help?
So part of my daily plan is the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, which is called WRAP. And it is a plan that we offer to our veterans here at the VA Maryland Healthcare System. And it allows you to develop a wellness toolbox. So for me, my wellness toolbox included meditation, Tai Chi, yoga, journaling. I love to color. I love Legos. So all kinds of different ways to care for myself, self-care. Well, I noticed that despite my daily plan, I started to feel like I was spiraling down. You both know that I am a survivor of a suicide attempt. So when I started feeling like something was shifting, I had to immediately take action. There was no time for me to try to keep figuring out on my own. That's what I mean, Rosalia. It's okay not to be okay. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to try to white knuckle it, tough it out, just go hard. No. It's okay. For me, it's waving the white flag and surrendering to this process of recovery and saying, you know what? I have exhausted all of my internal resources. I need assistance. I need help and I need support. I didn't even really know what was going on fully, but it wasn't required. It's just I had to take courage to make that call, send that secure message saying, can we make an appointment? I know we're scheduled to see each other out in a couple of months, but I'm having some things go on. Can I come in sooner? And that's what I had to do.
And it sounds like really the warning sign for you that really prompted you to do it, which is a great warning sign, is maybe starting to have thoughts like life isn't worth living, or even thoughts of harming yourself again.
Absolutely. And it did not get to that point. However, there is a very thin space. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a thin space for me between where I feel safe and when I don't. And what I've learned over these years is that from the first suicidal thought to coming up with a plan for me is about 20 minutes. That's it. I don't have a lot of time.
Not a lot of time.
It's not a lot of time. So when things start breaking down, even though I may not have a suicidal thought, I know I'm only 20 minutes away from it. I'm only 20 minutes away from the thought to the plan. So for me, I keep a bag packed at all times, just like on active duty for deployment. I have my crisis bag packed at all times. It stays at the door. I have personal items, my list of medications, my list of contacts out of my cell phone. That's in my vehicle, and it's also at the door.
Is this
I have
part
20
of the RAP
minutes.
program? Is this part of the RAP, or this is something?
This is part of the Paula program, because I want to live, and I've got to get to help quickly. I know myself very, very well. And I know that I need to be courageous enough to say, I'm not okay. I'm not quite suicidal, but something is starting to go to a different direction. I have to intervene. And thank God for the professionals at the VA Maryland healthcare system, because when I reach out to say, I'm not doing okay, they already know. Let's try to support this veteran, because we don't have a lot of time sometimes. And that's why I want to get out here. So, I really want to get this message out.
Can you tell other veterans what that crisis to go bag means, what's actually in it, and tell them, share your what works for you with other veterans?
Absolutely. So for me, I have been, I believe, admitted into crisis maybe 4 or 5 times. What I mean by crisis, everyone, is the inpatient psychiatric unit, where I went for safety purposes. I voluntarily went to the emergency department, let them know that I did not feel safe. I was having suicidal thoughts, and I needed to be evaluated to see if I could stay at home or if I needed to go to a higher level of care, which was inpatient. Every time that I've gone, they went through the evaluation process and determined it was best at that time for me to go in the hospital. So what that go bag means for me is, when I went into the crisis unit, you are changed out of your own clothes into a hospital top and pants. There are you're not allowed to have shoelaces. Belts are not allowed for your own safety. An underwire bra is not permitted. So in my go bag, I have slides. In my go bag, I have a sports bra. In my go bag, I have some of the things like a toothpaste or anything that I might need for my own hygiene and comfort. I have all of my medications printed out of my Healthy Vet. There is a place on my Healthy Vet that veterans can go in if they've elected to use my Healthy Vet and get a clinical summary that has your last 3 doctor's appointments. It has your list of medications. What's most important, it has your allergies. And it also allows you the opportunity to add anything else that you think may be relevant. And I also have a list of the contacts in my phone, because in my experience, when I went into the inpatient unit, I was not allowed to take my cell phone. And when I'm in crisis, I cannot remember my medications, my dosages. I can't remember anybody's phone number to call for help, emergency contacts and things. That part of my brain, I can't really reach it as well. They're asking me, well, what medications are you on? And I might not be able to remember. So this way, I just pull out the paper out of my bag when I check in, hand it to the person. And now that is a communication tool between myself, my treatment providers in the outpatient side with the inpatient side, if I'm not able to advocate for myself in those moments, because it's terrifying. It's very, very, very scary for me. And I don't feel safe So I'm now putting my life in the hands of others to care for me when I'm not able to care for myself. And for me, this takes preparation. And I learned that from being on active duty. You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So am I saying that I'm welcoming this experience? I'm looking for it. I'm hoping that it occurs? Absolutely not. I hope I never have to open that bag again. But if necessary, I have equipped myself. I'm empowered to participate in my own recovery while I'm feeling well. And it's almost like an advanced directive in a sense, because I get to put my wishes and the things that are important to me and who needs to be called. All of that can be done ahead of time.
I was going to say, Christine, can you add to what some of the other things veterans should do if they are in crisis or if they need immediate assistance?
I really like everything that you mentioned, Paula. I also think if you've developed a suicide safety plan
Excellent.
with your provider, that should be printed out. There should be a copy of that in your go bag or in an important place. I usually encourage people to have a couple of copies. One maybe in their bedroom and another in their car or their wallet. So they have access to it even if they are out of their house. I really like people to have phone numbers written down on there. For the reasons that Paula mentioned, that when we are in crisis, it can be really hard to think and remember things that are easy to think about and remember when we're not in crisis. That way, everything is all written down on one page, including important numbers of providers and the crisis line number 988, the facility number to the Baltimore VA, for instance, that sort of thing. I really like how you have all of your medications listed out. That's really important because they may not, wherever you end up going into the hospital, may not have access to your medical record. And it's really good to have all of those printed out for that reason. You mentioned, Paula, that when you first reached out and were referred back to the trauma recovery program, that felt like a big failure to you. Can you say more about that?
Absolutely. It felt like a failure because I actually I was practicing my daily plan. I was making the necessary adjustments using my worksheets, my tools. And I need to mention to the veterans out there, the VA has fantastic apps for your phone. So there's all kinds of supports and help available. And somehow I just kind of thought that was behind me. I just thought I had gotten ahead of it. And this caught me completely off guard. The good news is I'm really starting to feel better. I've had several sessions now at the Trauma Recovery Center. We've decided to use a modality that is trauma specific, and it is just building upon the skills that are already there. And I'm just so grateful that that resource is available. And the provider knows my history and is very sensitive to creating a treatment plan that is specific and individualized to my needs and my circumstances. I have to add that this is the first time in my life where I have not been able to avoid the activating event. So this was a game changer. I've always been able to run and to flee, but not this time. So this really tested, just was almost like a little pop quiz for my recovery strategies. So I just see that I'm just getting a little tune up of skills, adding a few things, being reminded of what I already know, and equipping myself for the next leg of the journey forward.
That's excellent. It sounds like, and I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly, that the trigger that you encountered was something that your circumstances required you to encounter it repeatedly. In order to do the things that you need to do every day, you had to come in contact with that trigger. And so your recovery almost entered a new level because in the past you were using avoidance maybe as the primary coping mechanism. And now you had to figure out some strategy to be able to stay in the environment, even though you were, being activated, and cope and manage that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, given that that was a really new experience for you, I think it makes a lot of sense that you needed not only a tune-up on some of your old coping skills or strategies, but maybe even to incorporate some new ones to cope with a new experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And
I also want to highlight that for you, this wasn't a 1 or 2 or 3 session tune-up, but rather almost, a reinvestment or another period of therapy that maybe was moving you to a new level in your recovery journey.
Absolutely, because it did. I was able to discover some areas that had not been addressed. So what seemed to be an obstacle actually now has turned into an opportunity to learn more about myself and to equip myself in a way that I did not know that I required. So all that is required for me to be right here, right now is happening, in my opinion, just as it should. Everything is unfolding as it should. Had this activation not happened, we wouldn't be sitting here today. We would not be having this conversation. And I have to believe in my heart that this information is going to resonate with someone that may be listening, that may
Absolutely.
be experiencing another level of their recovery. And I misperceived it as a failure. But now I recognize that it was really an opportunity.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for having the courage to share this with us today. This is a really important part of recovery that often people don't focus on as much as the initial treatment, and kind of feeling better initially. And then a lot of people make the assumption that you made, like, hey, this is behind me, right? And what we really highlighted today was that things can happen that are unexpected or even expected challenges that require us to dig deeper and may reveal a higher level of recovery, almost like a second or third or fourth phase of work that allows you to get even deeper into your recovery journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's
Wonderful.
almost like an archaeological dig. You're digging for treasure, hidden treasure within your own being. So it's meaningful work.
Absolutely.
So can both of you
Thank you
come up
so
with
much.
Thank you.
You're
Can
welcome.
both of you come up with some takeaways for veterans who are listening and may need to have this information that might help them if they experience a revisiting of a crisis moment?
Absolutely. I would just like to say, as a takeaway, just to normalize this experience, you are absolutely not alone. And these opportunities to go deeper, the opportunities to do additional work is part of the process. It's part of the journey. And the VA Maryland healthcare system is open, receptive, and equipped to help us on all stages of our journey, whether it's our first presentation with our very first symptom, all the way through someone like myself that has been doing this work for over a decade now. So the work continues, but it's loving, meaningful work. The emergency department is opened every day. And I want to lift this up as well. If you're experiencing, for the veterans out there or civilians as well, if you're experiencing any emergency, whether it be physical or mental health, I would just invite you to go to the nearest emergency room. So if you live in a different county, it's not required to have to drive all the way in to the VA Maryland healthcare system. If you're having any thoughts of harming yourself, please go to the nearest emergency department for help and for support.
And that point is really important because, again, we don't want to delay treatment at all by traveling. We want to get you to a safe space as soon as possible. I don't have a whole lot to add in terms of takeaways. I think Dr. Smith-Benson, summarized beautifully the takeaways. And I guess the only thing that I would add is that I think about recovery in a way as a lifelong journey. And at any stage, you may have either a large, a small, or anything in between setback, or simply a time when you feel that you want to delve further into recovery, maybe into a new area. And I encourage you to reach out for help if you notice a change in how you're feeling or have an interest in delving deeper into a different aspect of recovery. There are providers here that can help you address your current needs and get you involved in treatment that would best help you reach your goals at this time. In fact, that's part of my role as military sexual trauma coordinator, is to ensure that all veterans who've experienced MST are connected with care that is most helpful for them at this time. So feel free to reach out if you would like assistance in connecting with care. My phone number is 410-350-5464. Thank you all for tuning in today.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kalmus, and thank you, Dr. Paula Smith-Benson. I would like to wish all of our veterans out there a happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. We appreciate your selfless service, and do not be afraid to reach out. That's why we're here. Having a mental health issue is very similar to having any kind of other health issue. If you had a burst appendix, you would go to the hospital. It's the same thing. We have one body. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for whomever gave us the like out there on Facebook. We appreciate it. And we'll see you in our next streamed event. Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.